Let's speak now to Dr. Mads Gilbert, who's a senior consultant and professor of emergency medicine at the University Hospital of North Norway. He joins us now from Tromsø in Norway. Dr. Mads, you know the situation in Gaza very, very well. And I spoke to you indeed about a month ago on the deeply desperate situation faced by the people of Gaza. That was then, and since, as we've just been hearing, people dropping in the streets, is now more than extreme. Famine has not been officially declared, but we must be close, with flour gone, markets empty and hopes fading, children crying with hunger. Describe just how serious this is now.
Well, this is an extremely serious, 100% man-made, widespread starvation situation for the 2.1 million people of Gaza. It is engineered, planned and executed by the Israeli occupation forces and the Israeli government, supported by the US, and unfortunately not stopped by European and Arab governments. The situation from a medical point of view is beyond critical. The last OCHA report that came 3 days ago stated that all the inhabitants, 2.1 million people, are facing high levels of food insecurity. And 1 million of the 2.1 million are facing what we call IPC Phase 4, which is extreme emergency food insecurity. And this IPC gradation is the sort of the Richter scale of famine and starvation. It's the integrated food severity phase classification, which is the gold standard. And the most important thing now is that the last UN report, the OCHA report, states that 470,000 people in Gaza are now facing the IPC Phase 5, which is the starvation level of famine.
Okay, and so what are the implications of that then?
The implication of this is that this is the most severe phase of hunger. And it is, of course, shameful that in a world of plenty of food and accessibility, because we know that the UN has more than 9,000 truckloads of food and water and supplies ready to be shipped into Gaza, but is stopped by the siege and the blockade. It means a complete lack of access to food and other basic needs. Families face an extreme lack of food and other basic needs, even after all possible coping mechanisms have been put in place. The consequence is starvation, death, destitution, and extreme critical levels of acute malnutrition, which is evident and which we hear from my Palestinian colleagues in Gaza. By definition, more than 30% of the population is acutely malnourished, and there is a total loss of income. And at least 2 out of every 10,000 people die of starvation or disease in famine conditions. So 470,000 of the people in Gaza are now facing this level 5.
Okay, and if you're at that level, is it possible to recover from it? I mean, if you're a child, say, can you shake off the effects of Phase 5 if you do finally get food? What are the implications for people?
This is a complicated and important question, Nick. And number one, yes, it can be reversed in a matter of 24 hours. Open Gaza to free influx of UN-controlled food and water. Then number 2 point is that you have to give the food in a careful way, and you have to give the right food. And that is one point about the GAF. That they are not providing the essential food needed, like baby milk powder or food that doesn't need cooking. But you can give the starving people food in a way that they will alleviate the famine and not die. But the third point is that long-standing starvation in childhood will leave lifelong consequences on your body. So this is a very critical medical condition. And, you know, we have programs, the World Food Program, the UN, the medical community. We know how to handle this. But this is unprecedented, that this is man-made and it is allowed to continue. This is not a drought. This is not an earthquake. This is not a flooding. This is planned ethnic cleansing and genocide using lack of food, using thirst and lack of water
Yeah.
as the weapon to kill and to move people. So we are in phase 5.
And again, as you emphasize, there are huge quantities of aid just right there. And if you stood at an aid truck just outside the Gazan borders, you could probably hear the children crying with hunger in their sleep.
Yes, you're right, and it adds this sadistic element because the occupiers, the Israeli occupation army, they see this, they know it, they know every detail, everything is mapped and counted. And the UN reports, as I mentioned, the OCHA report just 2 days ago, is completely evident to all the governments and the factors of power in the world, and still it is allowed to continue. Children are starving to death. Yesterday, 2 people starved to death. 1 child was a toddler or a newborn, just a few weeks old. So how come that this can continue when it is reversible? It is illegal to use starvation as a weapon. It is illegal to attack the civilian population in this way. Still, Israel prevails, continue with impunity, with this merciless, inhuman way of killing and inflicting pain on people of Gaza. If you allow me, Nick, I'll just read a very short message that I got from the Minister of Health, Dr. Youssef Abarish,
Briefly,
in
if you would,
Gaza yesterday. Yeah, he says, important and urgent press release. Unprecedented numbers of starving citizens of all ages are arriving at emergency departments in hospitals in a state of extreme exhaustion and fatigue. We warn the world that hundreds of those whose bodies have emaciated will be at risk of certain death as a result of starvation and their body's ability to withstand the effects of starvation. Minister of Health, July 18th, Gaza, 2025. This is the reality. And we know now. And the leaders of EU, the US leaders, the Canadian leaders, the Arab countries, they know it. Turn off the oil and the gas to the west until food and water is turned on to Gaza's people.
It is, Dr. Mads, indeed a very grim reality. Appreciate your expertise. Thanks very much for joining us here in Al Jazeera. That's Mads Gilbert speaking to us from Norway. Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.